Recording in progress.
you're with us today for July's Power Hour. You know, we're coming off a terrific July 4th holiday weekend, and from the fireworks on the May River to the salute to the shore flyover, the Low Country was really a patriotic place to be. And I can't let the moment pass without a big thank you to the hospitality and service professionals who really worked very, very hard throughout the holiday weekend to ensure our residents and our visitors felt welcome. And we hear time and time again just how much visitors appreciate the Southern hospitality they experience here. And that's because of you. So thanks to all of you who make that possible. We have a full lineup this morning with three very timely topics. We'll begin with the latest on US 278 Corridor and Bridge Project with a look at funding, timelines, and what's ahead. We'll also hear about why one local leader is focused on ensuring every child enters kindergarten ready to learn. And we'll close with a check-in on turtle season, which is now well underway on Hilton Head Island. First up, I'm pleased to welcome Jared Fralix, Assistant County Administrator for Infrastructure with Beaufort County. Jared's been closely involved with the 278 Corridor and Bridge projects, as well as numerous other projects throughout his career at Beaufort County. And he's here this morning to walk us through what's changed and really what's next. There's been recent discussion around grant opportunities and updates for SIB funding, both of which could impact the project scope and timeline. Jared, thanks for joining us. We're glad to have you today, and we're glad to have you also leading this project.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about. It is very timely. We've got a couple of action items that are taking place as far as the bridge project is concerned. There's really 2 points I want to address, but before I talk about those, I want to kind of do a 30-second recap of the last 6 months or 12 months to catch us all up to speed. So we've been working on this project now for close to 8 or 9 years, and predominantly in the environmental assessment phase, which is preliminary design up to 30-40%. The entirety of the project we've been building out as a 6-lane bridge project and corridor and road work and within the 4.5-mile corridor. And then February last year, we got updated cost estimate, and our cost estimate outseeded our available funds by about $200 million. So a little shy of $500 million is the overall cost of the 6 lanes that was originally envisioned. So we put forth a sales tax in November for transportation to help subsidize that deficit. That failed, as we're all aware. So then discussions quickly shifted in January to what we were to do. The SIB, the State Infrastructure Bank, which we have a $120 million grant, they sent us a notice and say, hey, give us a plan how you're going to resolve this issue. We asked for an extension till the end of March, of which we developed a plan along with Senator Davis and the town of Hilton Head to build a project with the money that we have. So instead of the 6 lanes, we pivoted and we submitted a proposal for a 3-lane eastbound bridge-only project. And that was to repair the deficient bridge over Mackey Creek, as well as give us some improvements that lead us to the eventual long-term improvements. Originally in May, when the SIB met, they convened and they denied that proposal as presented. They gave us some feedback following that meeting, so we went to work, County Council did, to update our proposal and submitted that back to the SIB for consideration at the end of May. And most recently, in June 23rd, they reconvened and approved that amended proposal, which is the 3-lane bridge project over the eastbound Mackey Creek and Skull Creek. So that is where we sit. We have a fully funded project for $311 million between the county, DOT, and SIB on a 3-lane bridge project. However, in the interim, as that was planning out, there's been a federal bridge opportunity that was published on June 2nd as part of Federal Highway's large bridge grant program or bridge investment program, of which there's a large bridge grant. And it has a an opportunity, a window for 2 months, so it's due at the beginning of August. And what this is, it kind of lines up. You got to have anything when you're pursuing grant funds, the right project at the right time. And what this grant opportunity would present us with is the opportunity to, we know we have a 3-lane bridge project. This would allow us to go back to the original 6-lane bridge scope that we've been working on for the past 8 years, and close that gap, that $200 million that we've been searching for. This opportunity would provide for that funding level. So it would not cost any extra from local taxpayers or state. This would be a federal grant, a fourth stakeholder. And just the nature of this grant and where we are in the project, it actually aligns with where we are schedule-wise. So if applied, we wouldn't lose any time. We would maintain the schedule that we've committed and SIB recently approved, which was to be out to bid by the end of 27, start construction at the beginning of 28, and be fully completed by the end of 2031. So that's kind of the status update. Is we have a project. We are advancing a bridge project today, which is the 3-lane bridge project. However, we have an opportunity, and it's a small gap. Kind of all these things have aligned. DOT, this would be a joint application with SCDOT to apply for this. If we get it, great. We would hope to hear back by spring of next year. And if we get it, we would pause the 3-lane project and switch back to the 6-lane project that we've been working on from the beginning. If we submit it and we don't get it, that's fine too. We will discontinue the 6-lane idea and switch back and stay consistent and move the 3-lane bridge project forward. So that's it, Bill. I know there's been some reports and what is this and what is this opportunity? It's an opportunity. So whether we take it or not, we're going to work that through council and hopefully put it out there, and we'll see where it lands.
All right, Jared, thank you for that update. We have some questions that have already come in. And the first one is asking, his name is James, and is asking, what can drivers expect when and while construction moves forward?
Yeah, so in either scenario, 3-lane or 6-lane, the proposed bridge would be off alignment. So just to the south of the existing 2 bridges. So there will be some interruptions on the tie-in points, but most of the construction will be done. You won't notice the interruptions. There will be additional construction traffic. There will probably be the ferry system and the boat landing there on Pinckney Island will have some modifications and possibly closures, and those would be noticed throughout the project. And then most of the work where we do have tie-ins, eventually we have to tie the bridge back into the main road. Most of that work would be done at nighttime. So we're trying to mitigate as many interruptions as possible.
All right, thank you. Next question is coming from Olivia. And Olivia is asking us if you could talk a little further about what this 6-lane project looks like.
So 6 lanes is everything that we've been working so far. So it is that 6-lane, 1 bridge span with the multi-use path, the 14-foot multi-use path, and then it would continue 6 lanes starting from Moss Creek all the way through Spanish Wells. So we would have the 1 bridge south of the existing bridges. The existing bridges would be demolished at the end of the project. We would have the 6 lanes multi-use path for the length of the 4.5-mile corridor.
All right, and then Benjamin is asking about if we're safe with the existing bridge that until the new ones are built.
Yeah, so DOT has them on their routine inspection list. We've all heard in the paper that it's in poor condition, and that is a fact. And so they normally repair or look at those, inspect those biannually every 2 years. They've increased that to annually. And if there's something that takes place in the immediate by the design and construction, DOT will make the necessary repairs to allow it to continue to function until we get the long-term improvement made.
All right. Grant is asking, does this possibility change the MOU grant impact?
Yeah, so on the 3-lane bridge, we have we submitted that. That's directly with the state. We didn't update our MOU with the town in that regards. We had an initial joint resolution that we submitted, so that's in place. The MOU on the 6-lane, we'd have to finalize and coordinate some of those components with the town of Hilton Head. Yes.
All right. Next question is coming from Ethan, and Ethan is asking, how involved is the environmental oversight and wildlife impact?
Yeah, so that's paramount. So the entire 8 years we've been working on this has been in the NEPA environmental process. So we were close to submitting the final documents on the 6 lanes when we had to pivot due to funding. And so when we're working up the 3-lane bridge project, we will have to establish a new environmental document, and those wildlife measures and other environmental measures are deeply considered.
All right. Charlotte is asking if this changes anything with the SIB money.
No, so SIP has asked questions and we've got a response to them. So this opportunity is not, we don't expect any additional funds from the SIB, from the county, from DOT. We're using our existing funds as the match, and all of the agreements that we have with the SIB would still be intact with those $120 million that we already have. So no impact to the SIB funds.
All right. Grace is asking if there will be a bike and pedestrian lane with the new design.
Not on the 3-lane bridge, but yes, if we are successful with the grant on the 6-lane bridge.
And safe to assume that would be one in each direction?
The bike lane on the 6-lane bridge is 14 feet in width, which provides for enough space for two directions.
All right, Jared, that's you've gone through the questions, you've explained it very well. And again, if we were to be successful with that grant, what does the timing of it look like?
So it would keep the same track of the 3-lane bridge. Our goal overall is to have the final design ready and out to bid by the end of 27, so we can be under construction at the beginning of 2028. And then final delivery and construction by the end of 2031.
Jared, very good. Thanks for checking in with us on short notice on such a timely topic, and it's always great to see you.
Absolutely. Bill, thank you for the pleasure, and appreciate everybody online. Thank you for the questions and interest.
All right, Jared Fralix with Beaufort County. Next up, we're joined by Dale Dufett, Executive Director of United Way of Beaufort County. He also serves as the chair of the Low Country Early Childhood Coalition, an initiative focused on making sure all children have what they need to succeed from day one. Research shows that approximately 90% of brain development happens before age 5, so ensuring that children are ready to learn is critical. Dale's here with us this morning to share what's being done locally to support early learning and what it means for our community. Dale, welcome, and we're glad to have you today as well.
Bill, thank you very much. I sure do appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to give you guys just a very short presentation and try to bring everybody up to speed on what we're working on here. So first of all, my name is Dale Dufett. I am the President and CEO of the United Way of the Low Country, but I'm also the chair of the Low Country Early Childhood Coalition. The coalition's mission is to build a collaborative effort to help Beaufort and Jasper County children be healthy and ready to enter school. Based on the data and community conversations, it's clear that most people don't have an understanding of the importance of developing a child's brain before they enter kindergarten, right? A lot of times we think that our kindergarten teachers are going to take care of everything that we need them to do, but I learned this recently, that birth to 5 is more important than anything else. So our coalition includes organizations like Agape Family Life Center, Beaufort and Jasper County School Districts, Beaufort and Jasper County First Steps, Beaufort and Jasper EOC Head Start Program, the Children's Center, Born to Read, Child Abuse Prevention Association, and of course United Way, amongst some other ones. But why is this coalition and this discussion, for that matter, why is it so important that we're trying to get this message out? 80% of a child's brain develops by the time they're 3 years old. 90% of the child's brain develops by the time they're 5 years old. That's before they ever enter kindergarten. So when we talk about early childhood development, what we're really talking about is brain development. The brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So we need to exercise these little brains to build synaptic connections to make sure it's strong and ready to absorb all the knowledge that they're going to get as they enter and go through school. So this synaptic development is literally the foundation for everything that comes later. And when we have children that have strong brain development, they are able to succeed more readily than those who don't. So in the state of South Carolina, the state has developed the Profile for a Ready Kindergartner, which is a guide that defines those foundational skills that every child should have to be considered developed before entering kindergarten. And when a child enters kindergarten in public school, they're given an assessment to see just how strong this foundation is. It's called the Kindergartner Readiness Assessment, or the KRA. So in 2024, according to that Kindergartner Readiness Assessment, only 39% of children in Beaufort County were prepared to enter kindergarten. In Jasper County, that number falls to 15%. 15% of children are prepared to enter kindergarten. The state average is 40%, almost 41%. So I don't know about you, but I consider this a crisis, and those in the coalition consider it a crisis. And frankly, I think you should too. Why is this so important? Because the children being born today are going to be the workforce powering your companies in the future. And the earlier we start, the more successful our children are going to be. So what are we going to do about it? What are we as a community and we as a coalition, what are we going to do about it? The first thing is just what I'm doing right now, creating awareness around this problem. The more people who are aware that early childhood development is so important, the more people we will get involved in the activities in the community to get the word out and to bring engagement with the parents and caregivers that work with these kids on it every day. The other thing that we're doing as a coalition is providing resources for parents and caregivers to learn small, simple tips and tricks to help with that developmental activities for their children. And finally, where it's needed, we can provide direct intervention. So we can work one-on-one with parents if needed to help them better develop or more successfully develop their children. So the Low Country Early Childhood Coalition did a lot of research, and we found a program that was developed in Harvard called The Basics that we're launching in the Low Country. We've been rolling it out slowly over this past 12 months. The Basics focuses on 5 easy to remember principles: maximize love and manage stress, count, group, and compare, talk, sing, and point, explore through movement and play, and read and discuss stories. So the goal here is to get that message and those 5 points saturated into our community, into our everyday normal activities, whether it's your place of work, your church, your barbershop, your laundromat. Every place that a family goes on a regular basis can be part of the solution. And ultimately, we want to make life the program. We don't want to ask parents to come to a class. We want parents to learn how to make everyday things part of a developmental activity for their children. For example, how can we turn a trip to the grocery store into a learning experience? Can we count as we're putting things in the basket? This doesn't take a lot of extra time. It just takes a little bit of thought. How can we take advantage of time spent in the car on the way to and from work or to and from the doctor's office? What recommendations can we make to our parents or caregivers to do things just a little bit differently to make a big impact on their children? So ultimately, is it worth the effort? Absolutely. Science shows that the earlier we invest in childhood development, the higher the return on investment. So the earlier we start, the better bang for our buck we're going to get. In Beaufort County, we have about 2,000 children born each year. That's 10,000 children currently between the ages of 0 and 5. Or if you look at it this way, in the next 10 years, there's 20,000 children going to be added to our community. So when you look forward 20 years, that's 20,000 potential workers entering our workforce. If we start now to make sure that they're successfully developed and they are able to have a solid education, we are going to see the benefits of that for our business community. So again, is it worth the effort? Absolutely. Because this young lady here who grew up to be your doctor, she might be a mechanic, she might be a scientist, or she might be one of our Marines. So this is just an intro to what we're working on. And with that, I just want to say thank you.
All right, Dale, thank you. And we have some questions that have come in. The first one is coming from Abigail. And Abigail is asking, does South Carolina have mandatory pre-K education?
They do not have mandatory pre-K. No.
All right. Thank you. Next question is coming from Evelyn. And Evelyn is asking, where has this program succeeded? And what community might be considered the model on it, if there is one?
The program was created in the Boston area, and there are a lot of metro areas throughout the United States, South America, and Australia that are currently using it. It was developed about 10 years ago, and so the long-term positive effects have yet to come in because it's still a relatively new program. But communities in general are getting behind the program, and what they're seeing is parents signing up to be a part of this. And one of the metrics that they can track is one of the offerings through the Basics program is a text-based messaging system. So that's called the Basics Insights. The Basics Insights, when parents sign up for it, sends 2 text messages to parents a week. The first message is on the developmental aspect of their child, and the second is an activity idea to go along with that developmental stage. These text messages are based on the age of a child in weeks. So if a child is 12 weeks old versus 36 weeks old versus et cetera, et cetera. So the parents are going to get a different set of messaging depending on how old their child is. And they're simple. And I'll give you an example. One of my staff members had a baby 2.5 years ago. And the one text message that I remember her getting was, hey, at this stage in Nori's life, Nori is her daughter, at this stage in Nori's life, she is starting to recognize that just because she can't see you doesn't mean you're not there, right? So this is a developmental fact about the developmental age of Nori at that time. 2 days later, she got an activity idea text that said, to help reinforce this developmental aspect, play peekaboo with your daughter so that she knows that just because she can't see you doesn't mean you're not there. Simple things that can help develop a child's brain.
All right, thank you. Next question is coming from Mark, and Mark is asking if you need volunteers to help, and if so, how would one go about that?
Yep, Mark, you can reach out to myself, and we are looking for folks to become part of a speakers bureau who can go out and present to clubs and groups. Or if you are part of a club or a group, invite us in to speak, because awareness is the very first step. And then, make sure that everybody's aware of the problem and that there are solutions out there. So yes, Mark, thank you for that. We are certainly looking for folks to get involved.
Dale, Jody is asking, how can I help if I don't have kids myself?
Yep, well, there are several different ways. As I said to Mark, you can volunteer to be part of our Speakers Bureau. Number 2, if you own a business or if you're part of a group, let us give you physical materials that you can display in your break rooms or hand out to your groups. We have posters, postcards that are all bilingual. We have idea lists. We have book lists. We have all kinds of things that can help create the awareness with whatever group that you're working with. And that would be a great help to us. And for the record, I don't have kids. So if I don't have kids and I entered into this conversation, honestly, not knowing much about our education system or the need for early childhood development, if I can do it, you can do it.
Dale, thank you. That's very, very informative. We appreciate your time today. Also like to say that in my introduction that as I close out with Dale, that he's a fairly recent graduate of our Leadership Hilton Head Bluffton program that we're very proud of, and proud to have Dale as a graduate.
Best class ever.
There you go. That's right. All right, my friend, you take care and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, as we're going to close this out today, we're going to welcome everyone's favorite marine biologist, and that's Amber Kuhn, who heads up the Hilton Head Island Sea Turtle Patrol. Turtle season officially runs through October 1st, and Amber and her team have been very, very, very hard at work at, I can say also very, very, very early in the mornings, each morning, ensuring, checking for new nests and making sure they're protected and safely monitored. Amber, we're glad to have you with us today. Tell us how the season's going so far, and if there are any things that you need in helping you coordinate your efforts.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. The season is going great. We have 193 nests on the beach as of this morning. And yesterday we had our first emergence. That's when the hatchlings come out and walk to the water at night, and we document it the next day. And it's never nest number one. It just rarely happens. So the first nest to hatch on Hilton Head was number 17. And this morning we had 3 more emergences. So now we're well into the hatching season, and that's a double duty because sea turtles are still nesting through mid-August, the loggerheads, and then the hatching process is going on. So they're coming and going, and we are so happy that we are finally underway, and we have prepared for the beach renourishment as well by moving several nests. So we are ready to go. We are ready to get that sand pumped back on the beach and build our habitat. The interesting thing about this year is that we are in a transition phase. We are in a new location that we operate from. We have some new staff members, and we are performing the same activities that we did last year, but with a lot more involved. As I said earlier, preparing for the beach renourishment involves moving nests from the north end where it starts. So we have 60 nests that we have moved so far from Mitchellville Beach and Hickory Forest Beach and the north end of Hilton Head through Islanders. And those are situated in a nursery, which is around the Burks Beach area. And we have our nests just situated over there so that we can be sure that they are safe, so that the construction doesn't get involved with the hatching process. So that is a new thing as well. We are going to monitor all nests that have reached 45 days. Every day we check for nest emergence indication. And like I said, there are 4 so far. And after they have hatched, we give it 3 days. And then we go in and do an inventory and we see what the results were. We do a complete inventory. We count the eggs that have hatched, the eggs that haven't hatched. We release hatchlings that are stuck in the bottom of the nest. And we do that at 5 o'clock in the morning when we get out on our patrol, which is daily. And we make sure we do that every day before the tourists start to get back onto the beach, and before that 12-hour interval has been surpassed. And that is where we can safely move them. After 12 hours, the embryo attaches to the inside of the shell. and any movement might cause some interruption in the incubation process. This year, something new again, we are in the lab testing for paternal DNA. We've always collected since 2010 DNA from the shell for the maternal version of that. We know since 2010 all of the females that have nested on our beaches. What nests did they lay? How many did they put on Hilton Head? What other beaches have they visited in that same summer? Who were their daughters? Who were their sisters? Who were their mothers and grandmothers? So we've known the maternal for a long time because the males never come back to shore, so it's really hard to capture them. But now we've come up with a way to find them, and it's in the pervitellin membrane, which is the membrane that surrounds the germinal disc. And in the lab, we are sampling that and sending that off to the University of Georgia. Cornell lab is also involved, and then we'll start to get a picture of what the males are doing out there. What sort of contribution are they making, and how many females are they contributing to? And just check on our population. We keep track of our population that way. We want to see several different individuals to make known that we have a healthy population, not just older female turtles laying more nests. You can't base it on how many nests we have, but how many individuals there are. So now we're going to look at males and females that are out there. And as you probably know, it's mostly loggerheads. We have had one false crawl from a green sea turtle this season, but normally it's majority is loggerhead. Another new thing that happened this year, there's an article in the CH2 magazine about it too. I had a call for a hooked loggerhead, and we do take care of all of the strandings, and that's considered a stranding, and the fisherman was holding it in the surf before I got there. And when I saw it, I knew it was a loggerhead. They're very identifiable. I was super tired after the whale incident that you probably have heard of. But when I went back to the beach to go unhook the turtle, I noticed that it was a certain size, and I've never seen that size loggerhead. I got really excited. I've seen hatchlings and I've seen 400-pound nesting loggerheads, but this size is a recruiting size. So after 15 years of being overseas, they come back to the East Coast. They usually hop off in the clear, warm waters they're familiar with, like they had in the Azores and Canary Islands. But when they come back around and hop off in those clear waters, Caribbean, Florida, they eventually make their way up to our beach they were born on, which includes Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, same beach. So some of our loggerheads that are nesting, they have to be 30 years old to do that, are nesting in one nest every state in the same summer. But this turtle recruited in our area, and that tells me that there are more than enough in those clear waters, and they were forced to move up to find their food in the more obscure waters where they're going to have to use other senses to find it in our very plentiful nursery of the ocean, but also you can't see through the water at the depth that they need. Their food source does not float. It's on the bottom in the dark. So those are whelks and crabs and things like that. So I got really excited because that tells me that those new recruits are coming up our way because they need to find that food, and we'll see more of them, hopefully. So you'll see a picture of it in there. I took some beauty shots of that turtle, very healthy, and was walking for the first time, crawling, I should say, back to the water when I took the hook out. Hadn't crawled in 15 years and won't probably for another 15 until it's time to nest. And hopefully it's female. I'm just going to assume that it was because I want it to come back and lay eggs. So a lot of new things going on for us this year. This year seems to be the year that we've gotten involved. Our programming has started to blossom. So we're in the school district this past year with a curriculum that is based on the pace of the Beaufort County school districts. In other words, we go in and we give a lesson that is a STEM lesson that goes along with what the teacher was required to give that month. So we're replacing the lesson with something that's sea turtle related. They're doing an inventory with a fake nest and ping pong balls, but they're counting by tens and learning that. I believe that's the 3rd grade class, and the 5th grade class is learning, 4th grade class is learning adaptations. What do 7 different sea turtle species do to find their food, and what they use to find their food that their morphology has adapted to. And it has been so great to see the response to that. And that program will continue to expand. So we've got our education program. We've had great success with our fundraising and special grants that hopefully will have some permanent locations soon and get out of that tent in a parking lot that we've been inhabiting for so long. And we're really excited about the year to come. We've got a good head start.
All right. Thank you, Amber. Some questions for you if you have time.
Yeah.
Great. The first one's coming from Alexandra, and Alexandra's asking, what should people do if they see a mama turtle or a nest that's hatching?
So obviously you're going to turn all lights off. The red light that's often suggested, that is really important the hatching season, not because sea turtles can't see red. It's because if you're walking down the beach and not watching a nest hatch, the hatchling won't follow you. You don't know they're following your white flashlight. So they don't follow red light. They see it. So if you're seeing hatchlings, don't shine the red light on the hatchling. They'll just walk in circles. You'll always want to be behind a hatchling. Same with the nesting turtles. If you see one coming up on the beach, if you're not in front of them and you're quiet, they'll continue to do their thing. But if they see you're there, they're frightened, they'll turn around and they'll leave. But I just want to say, just because you have a red light doesn't mean you are invisible. They can hear you and see you. So stay behind and keep a safe distance, and you can get that experience.
All right. Lucas is asking, how many volunteers does it take to accomplish this?
So sea turtles have that endangered species qualification. So a permit is granted to every beach that has nesting by the state, and the permit belongs to me. And I have 23 people that have been trained per guidelines to do the patrol. I also have a really great 50-person auxiliary group that meets monthly and does all of the outreach. So we've got Harbor Fest that we are at every Tuesday night. We have volunteers helping me with my public turtle talk on Monday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. There's several activities, the outreach activities and educational programs that they also manage that makes them very valuable to me. But the beach activities, they also go out on the beach and put the beach to bed, which means, they pick up the chairs and the tents and things like that and move them off to the dune, toward the dune, so that they can be picked up later. They fill holes and they pick up trash and talk to people on the beach and educate them. So there are altogether 75 volunteers, to answer your question.
Thank you for that great explanation. Next question is coming from Emma, and Emma is asking, how do our nest levels compare to other beaches in South Carolina?
We are always very close with Kiowa. They have 10 miles of beach. We have almost 20 if you count all of the side beaches, but they only have one resort. So the difference between our resort and most of the resorts in the state besides Myrtle Beach is that we have a lot of beachfront rentals, and we are consistent, if not improving, with our numbers because we have revised the lighting ordinance in 2021. Thank you, Town Council, for that. It has made a huge difference. It's more strict. There's more things that you have to abide by in that ordinance. We also have a whole ordinance and a personal property ordinance that I mentioned earlier. Anything left on the beach that's unattended after sunset gets removed from the beach. So nobody stole it. It got taken. And that's so that turtles, when they come up to nest, don't hit something in the dark, get afraid and leave. And that's called a false crawl. And we were having a lot of that before this ordinance was in place. 2020 was the first year that we enforced it.
Thank you. Next question is coming from Zoe, and Zoe is asking, how rare was it to have a sperm whale beach itself on the island?
Super rare, because those animals are deep, deep divers. They live in deep water. We don't have 1,000 feet for 400 miles. But this animal was depleted. It was very skinny and emaciated. The necropsy did not reveal anything, and you can read about this in Local Life this month. It did not reveal anything in the necropsy, which is the animal autopsy that they did on the beach. There was no obstructions in its bowel. There were no obvious like pneumonia or anything like that. So bacterial and viral diseases, they're checking for that. But what I heard was if that doesn't come back, then it's probably a food source depletion, which is a bigger deal. That's not a good sign, because if there's no food, then this is going to happen more often. But for Hilton Head, it's pretty rare because it had to travel a long way to find land, and it wants to find land so that it doesn't get eaten alive by sharks. Sharks know when an animal is dying, and they take advantage of it. So, it's just one of those things where it's so rare, will never happen again. And we hope not on Hilton Head. Unfortunately, it was a sad situation.
All right, Amber, two last questions. The next one is coming from Charles, and Charles is just asking about if the beach renourishment contractors are in communication with you and your team to coordinate.
Yes. In fact, I have worked with these contractors before in other renourishment years, and I still have their cell phone numbers. So it was good to see them again, and they will contact us every day when they start pumping sand. Sea Turtle Patrol will be on the beach all night long, checking for sea turtles coming up to nest every hour on the hour. So if they have to move their big equipment in the night or super early in the morning, we will make sure the beach is clear before the morning migration, and then at night we will escort them. So I've done this before. This only happens every 8 to 10 years. So we are very prepared and know what we're doing, and they are familiar with us. And so hopefully in 8 to 10 years from now, it'll be the same guys that we worked with before, because they're really great. The company is called Marinex, and we'll still be asked to monitor the turtles during the nesting season.
Amber, the last question's for me, and everybody, or not everybody, but many people know Amber, the Sea Turtle Patrol, but they don't really know Amber, the marine biologist, the boat captain, and I thought it'd be great for our listeners if you just take a minute or two to tell us a little bit about the rest of your background.
So I graduated from the University of Georgia in 1997, and I did not know what I was going to do with a biology degree. It's not a plug and play thing, really. So I came home and I started working with the dive shop and Outback Steakhouse. I was an Aboriginal. And we and the dive shop had a boat, and we took people offshore. And this boat only lasted for like a year. I got my captain's license to accommodate that. And I was a dive master this day, and I went into the water and I saw my first loggerhead underwater, and it just changed everything. So I knew that in order to be effective, I had to go back to grad school. So I went to graduate school for a master's degree in marine science. I graduated in 2005. I moved to Hawaii. Why not? And in a couple years, I was so broke that I had to come back home. But that's a good thing, because I immediately started to get back with Sea Turtle Patrol. This is my 27th season monitoring, and sea turtles have just been my passion ever since that experience. Super lucky to have had that experience. And to supplement, because sea turtles don't pay that great, I have been a boat captain since I got my captain's license on Hilton Head many years ago. That was in the year 2000. And I still run ecology tours by request, but the nonprofit, the Sea Turtle Patrol, HHI, is getting so busy and high profile that it's taking a lot of my time. So with those advances, you'll probably see more of me on the beach rather than on the May River.
All right. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you again for all you do. And then just recently, as you know, we dedicated a nest to Craig Melvin and his family. Craig's with the Today Show, and which received some very, very good coverage for Hilton Head Island, our sea turtles, and that. So again, thanks for always being the go-to, and we appreciate you each and every day.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you too.
All right. Amber Kuhn, talking all things sea turtles. Well, thanks again for joining us today, and special shout out to Jared, Dale, and again to Amber for their time and insights this morning. We'll be back next month with more updates and important conversations. So in the meantime, we encourage you to stay connected through our Chamber's email, weekly communications, and are looking at our upcoming events. So thanks again for being with us. Great having you, and have a great rest of your day, week, and summer. Thanks.